Okay, welcome. This is my extra credit assignment for the final portion of CSCI S-3 Summer 2020 class at Harvard University. My name is David Maiolo, student here, 5th class towards my Information Management Systems degree. A little bit about me: I am a cloud engineer for Microsoft. I'm a senior premier field engineer, specifically working the Azure space. And interesting tidbit about me is I do travel a lot. This has been about 310 cities I got through in 2019. Obviously, COVID has slowed that down quite a bit in 2020. I find myself over here in New York right now, kind of stopped since my last engagement travel. But interesting, not a lot of engineers travel that much. I like it, and interesting note about me. So if you watched my video on the graduate assignment I did, I talked about how um, the DOM model, the document object model um, that's available to JavaScript kind of as an API, allows us to manipulate HTML to kind of maybe pull data in from HTML, some elements and their values, or I had said that we could maybe create our own. I didn't give an example of that, but it's certainly possible for us to not generate content that is anywhere in HTML, do that in JavaScript, and then have that sent back to the page as something we created. So again, easiest way to kind of visualize something like that, I think, is an example. So if we take a look here, this was the same set of code that I use, and this is not my code. This is I just found this example online. Um, this kind of sample set of code to take some inputs here from HTML and turn them into variables and manipulate them with these functions, or rather, I should say, compare them and send the output back to the web page. And I had mentioned that we could create our own element. So here I added this little extra bit of code, and we can see that I've created a variable x, and rather than here where we're getting an element, you can see now we are creating an element. So let's look here a little closer. Variable x, document, which is that base node, dot create element, which would be a method available to do something that we did not write, that's just available in JavaScript. And we're going to give it a type of input, something that method would expect to create an input element. And then you can see once we have created it, this variable x, there's another method available to this object, and it's setAttribute. And this is pretty simple. This is like a key value pair. We're going to set the type to text, and we're going to go right back to that document, and some more methods available: document.body.appendChild x. So let's think about what this might do when I hit this get the larger button. Obviously, that's a silly spot to put it, so maybe I could call it do something, because we're going to do something else. All right, do something. So let's look again. We're creating this variable, document.createElement of type input. Then we're setting these attributes, text, type text, and then we're going to append it to the document. Very simple. We could have, of course, maybe added this within a span or something like that, but this is just a very simple way to append it to the body of the HTML. So what do you think is going to happen when I hit this do something? Of course, this button, if we see here, is going to run this function, feed the button. So it's kind of doing all this other stuff here. But say we didn't care about all this. We said, no, we just want to just run this little piece here. What do you think that's going to do? So let's hit run again on that. And we're going to hit do something. Ah, look at that. So there is our text box we created. Type text. Okay. Let's think of another example. I kind of, made one here, right? We had created a text box or an input box. What if we created maybe some text itself, right? So we're going to pin this, and this will probably be out of order, so let me maybe put this up here. It'll be a little sloppy, I'm sure, but let's think again what we're doing. So we're going to create a variable box3, and now it's document.createTextNode, and we're going to give it a value of another number. So this is a method that's available in the API to create a text node with the text another number. And you can see I'm doing the same thing here, document.body.appendChild box3. So let's run that. So this code's available. What do you think is going to happen now when we hit do something? Let's see. Look. So another number, and then our input box. We're not doing anything with these, obviously. They're just chilling there. But look at these did not exist anywhere in the HTML. This is not something that that existed prior to not only JavaScript running, but obviously we had to have the function run, which this button was attached to. And so where we can see this text and these text boxes were actually generated here in the HTML, this is entirely generated in JavaScript. So you can see how, maybe you might have a web page that we don't know if a text box should be created. It might depend on a user's input. Let's say, for example, there was a checkbox or something, or a button that said, I also have a mobile phone, right? This is my mobile phone, and this would be something like, I don't know, about me. I don't know, right? We run this, and the idea is if we click this, or how about we call it, I also have a mobile phone. Okay, let's say you had a website like this. What do you think is going to happen when we click this? We know, right? Boom. Now we have this extra text element and text input box. And we could, of course, make this part of the form. And, now we know some of the attributes, and we could also give it an ID if we wanted to reference it as an ID in a form. But, I could fill out my number, whatever. And then that's part of my HTML form. So let's see what happens when I click another. You see that? It just keeps running over and over and over, because we can add as many as we want. It's just going to keep appending them over and over and over like that. So you can see how JavaScript gives you this really neat ability to dynamically add to the HTML when it's viewed in this kind of document framework. Right? The HTML document is literally a document of nodes and elements that we can kind of reference in an API style, and we're going to use JavaScript to kind of manipulate and create that stuff. So I hope this was helpful. Kind of a little view on how we can use JavaScript, not only like we look at the graduate project to create things, but read things, but now we're also creating things. I hope everybody has a nice summer 2020. Stay safe, and hope to see you in the fall.